I am delighted to introduce to you Marty Grabstein. Marty, come on out. Yeah.
Whoa! Yeah! Wonderful to see you all. And the stage at Nightmare on Elm Street? No.
Have a seat. Don't fall asleep because the couches are very
comedy would have
comfy.
done better with more people in the audience. But not...
We're going to do a
so
little...
I want to drown here the right way. Sometimes when I drown, it's good because everybody feels better about themselves when I mess up.
If we start drowning, just flail your arms a lot and they'll know.
Where's the camera?
Straight ahead.
Camera?
Straight ahead.
Right there.
Right there.
I'm playing to the camera, my friends. I'm playing to the camera. All right. I'm going to sit down now.
Sit down.
This comedy is really failing miserably.
Welcome to our Borscht Belt routine here.
Me and Jackie Mason. And anybody ever hear of Jackie
I
Mason?
love Jackie Mason.
I love Jackie. I love this guy, though.
A
round of applause for the great Joe Watts.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
I hope at home when they watch this video they heard that and they think that was just because they were applauding for me and that's why it was sparse. And then we're gonna add in extra applause for you. All right. So let's get started with how did you get started? What did you do before you were a voiceover artist?
First of all, I'm not actually a voiceover artist. I want to correct you right out of the booth because this is the only actual voiceover, important voiceover thing I've ever done. Actually, I'm an actor.
Yeah,
I do. When you're an actor, you wanna act, right? That's the whole. Let me also, because I'm stumbling a little bit here, let me give you your full disclosure. I'm recovering from a stroke I had about 1 year and 2 months ago, and my speech was very effective, so I've come a long way with my speech, but sometimes when I get, I try to do too much at one time, all of a sudden I started this thumper, and you're hearing this halting pattern to my voice. I didn't say that to make you people feel guilty about the fact that you were already judging me, but I know you weren't judging me. So how did I start off? Yeah. I'm going to get back to Joe's questions. So I was always acting. I was from my childhood, I had it in my genes. I had it in my blood. I really wanted to do it. I loved being on stage. So generally speaking, coming to New York, I was from New York, but one out-of-town college, come back to New York, and there the journey really began in earnest because basically doing stage comedy, I had a not stand-up, but a sketch comedy act that with me and another person, we wrote and performed our own material, and it was pretty hot stuff, and with pretty hot stuff.
Yeah.
It was called Lab Rats. And before there was a Lab Rats, I swear they stole that title from us. They heard it. That's a nice title. So, but always performing, once in a while, I would do a commercial, but always on stage, performance, summer stock, regional theater, a lot of theater in my life. Come on. Come in, my friends. I need all the attention I could get. So
you're an actor. You do it all for the love.
I do it for the love. So essentially, I've done a lot of character work on television, the Law and Order shows, all of the Law and Orders, Third Watch, Blacklist, those kind of things. Many independent films that a lot of people didn't hear about, and I'm producing and performing my own short films right now. We'll be entering it into film festival right now. getting the shameless self
Let's
promotion
get the plugs out of the way. Yeah.
Right. So I'm right now on YouTube. If you type in Marty Grabstein, Hunter Thompson, it would come up my film that I produced, that I co-wrote and performed.
That was awesome.
That was wonderful.
You couldn't have rehearsed that.
I never did that even though this is a sparse panel. I never did that at a panel, so I feel really good.
I love
that
the
happened.
spontaneity.
So check it out. It's called Hunter is Fucked. But the C and the K are starred out, like asterisk, like when it's centering, and that's the way it appears. I played the great Hunter Thompson.
Oh, wow.
Albeit a heavier version of him, because he's not a heavy guy. But check it out. So but Courage, the Cowardly Dog happened on the heels of my constantly being in there, what I did for love, the things we do for love. I love acting. I love doing it. I always sometimes got paid, sometimes did not get paid, and it didn't matter. You just do it. And somehow it created, I believe, the space for somebody to approach me. And maybe I'll answer that question also.
Yeah, I actually want to ask you, so we're going to get to how you got into Courage in a bit.
All right,
but
I'm going to shut up for a second.
Yes, that was amazing that you did. So what is, outside of Courage, what is your favorite role you've played?
Oh, okay. In a regional theater thing, I was in my 20s, still my favorite role. I accepted the Hunter Thompson.
Yes.
The Hunter Thompson is my favorite role I've ever played.
Go on YouTube right now and watch the Hunter Thompson.
Watch a Hunter Thompson film. It's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. It's funny and weird.
Yeah.
A little bit weird. But my favorite actual role that I ever did, when I played the role of Teddy in When You're Coming Back, Red Rider. It's an old. It's you know that play? You were shaking your head.
No, it's Red Rider.
Right. So When You're Coming Back, Red Rider, and I played a guy that came into a diner, kind of friendly like, but a little bit intimidating, and slowly but surely he takes over the diner and actually intimidates the diner to act out the terrible scenarios which mirror his perception of the way the kind of people that he proposes that they are, to act out the reality of their lives. A very strange play. I was an evil guy, and I loved that because I never played an evil guy before. Usually I'm a friendly guy, a funny guy, upbeat, but playing an evil guy was so exciting for me.
So you played an evil guy, was very exciting. What would be the most, people are watching TV, on comes, one of the TV shows you made, what would be the most unusual role they're going to spot you in? Like you're a corpse in CSI or something. What's the most unusual thing people are going to stumble across and go, wait a minute, that's Marty?
Yeah. I don't know. A little bit the evil guy thing.
Yeah.
There's no correct way to answer this question.
Sure.
Right? I did play a corpse once, but I was debating whether to answer with the corpse. But that's not the weirdest thing. Is something I did in Blacklist recently, over the last 5 years.
Great show. Great show.
You saw my episode? Thank you. Round of applause for this guy for promoting my Blacklist appearance. But I played a kind of a seedy, kind of weird, scary, a little bit scary guy who was the manager of a hotel, and he basically. The scene was with James Spader. I was very happy to be acting with James Spader, you know, and basically he comes in. The thing is, I'm supposed to poison him drug him essentially, so he can be kidnapped and taken in by my boss. Unexplained situation. Anyway, so I have about 7 lines, but they were short, very short lines. Most of my acting was and I was eating, nonstop eating. So great. One of my favorite things to ever do. It was weird character, but it was a great character.
Do you remember how many takes you did? Because if you're eating, how many takes did you do?
I did numerous takes.
Yeah.
The eating, believe it or not, the frequency of the takes was, ramped up because the director. This is a funny story. All right, so when I got the role, when I auditioned for the role, it says he's eating some soup with a spoon while he was talking to the guy, eating soup. I made a decision when I did the audition tape to change it to a sandwich because I felt the sandwich would be more juicy, more fucked up. I can say in a GalaxyCon recording, right?
You're fine.
I
You're
can say
fine.
fucked up.
Sure, go right ahead.
But Panam, any kids here? Young kids? No. I asked afterwards, by the way.
Yeah,
but anyway, so I was eating the sandwich, and I got the roll, so I was, all right, so I got the role. The director came to me when I came on set, and I saw soup with there, thinking, so I have to do the soup now because that would. He said, we also have brought sandwiches. So what do you think, soup or sandwich? He asked me that question. I said, sandwich got me into this room right now. Let's go with the sandwich. He just take the soup away. And he saw me eating, and I put it down at a certain point and started. He said, you know what? Keep eating. Just keep eating through the whole scene because it's so good. Your eating is so atrocious and so disgusting. And he also said, I think James would be really horrified by you eating. So we wanted to play a joke, and James Spader, at my expense, having me eat and alienate the star I'm acting with. It's a funny story, but he did definitely hate me in that scene. He was very gracious later, but he did hate me in that scene.
But he will never take you out to lunch.
Never take me out to lunch.
What acting is so glamorous. So let's go back in the past. You're acting in New York, and how do you get into Courage the Cowardly Dog? You're not a voiceover actor. You're traditionally an actor.
Clarifying that. Marty Grabstein is not a voiceover actor. Make it clear.
You're an actor who has done voiceover for one specific character.
Let's call it. I'm not Jim Cummings. I'm not Rob Paulson. Anyway, so basically, and I told you I created this. I think when I say I created it, I think on some level it has a mystical situation when people, I think this is true in life in general, not just in the theater world, not just in the performance world. It really is when you are showing up for something you love and the energy you create doing things that you care about creates an inexplicable energy of drawing other things into your universe. I think without being too metaphysical. But so out of nowhere, I got a call from an old friend of mine. Hadn't spoken to her in 5 or 6 years. She said, Risa Neworth, God bless you, Risa, for providing me with this possibility of doing this role. And she said, Marty, I know I haven't spoken to you, but I'm working for this guy, John Dilworth, who was casting for the lead character in this new cartoon series, Courage the Cowardly Dog. And I think you would be right for that. He's listened to every voiceover actor in the city, probably Jim Cummings and Rob Paulson also.
Probably, yeah.
And he can't arrive at a decision how the character is supposed to sound. So I figured it's driving me crazy. I'm reaching out to friends of mine, and I saw that you were in this. You were in the show that you got a review in Time at New York for my comedy show. We created it as a full-length play featuring material. So you got a good review, and I see Marty's still acting. So I figured maybe Marty would be good for this. He's had such a distinctive voice, and then I walked in with no expectation at all. No, really, the next day, basically, they didn't have anything but an image of the way the character looks and a little thing that he was a very neurotic dog who's afraid of everything, but somehow rises to the occasion and saves the people he loves at the 11th hour. So that's all I got. Yeah. And I went in and I just started doing things. I didn't have any preparation. I didn't prepare anything. And somehow that, you know, not really knowing created this thing, connection with Dilworth. And another thing about that, this is interesting concept. I like to say this at panels because it's inspiring thing. So basically, most actors go into an audition. Two things are going on. Get me the job, please take me, I'm good, please take me. And number two, trying to cover up your desperation that you're feeling inside. So you actually split energies. One is kicking ass, the other is inside you, terrified, and you want to cover it up and make it look like you're not terrified. That's a split energy thing. I was not terrified at all. Actually, I walked in strangely empowered. Very rarely does an actor have this mindset. I went in thinking, I think maybe this guy may be sick of hearing. He heard over 300 voices and still couldn't decide over months. He probably sick of this process. I'm going to save him from the pain. I'm going to stop the bleeding for him. And I walked in like, hey, man, I was very relaxed. Isn't that interesting idea?
There's a certain irony to that you're portraying this character who has this fear.
That's true.
And you go in without any fear.
That's true.
And you get the role. That's kind of an incredible irony.
I didn't even realize that that's true.
So did they give you any notes? Was there anything when you're in that room and they're saying, here's what we're looking for? Or you walked in and you said, here's what I'm thinking? How did that process work?
They gave me things to read, and some of these lines. All the things wait a second. One note. All the things I do for love, I was doing like a Jewish comedian,
yeah.
Like Jackie Mason a little bit. And anybody who did see the Chicken from Outer Space, the original one, the line that's uttered at the end, because not much talking with courage at all, not even that many sounds, actually. At the end, he said, this couldn't happen to a dog in this deep voice.
Yeah.
So essentially, I was doing all of those things, but I was doing it in my natural timbre. So he said, it's very funny. Can you just raise it up a little bit? So it becomes all the things I do for love. And I said, yes, yes.
That was it.
And that was it. I think we got it. And I just got to get the approval from Cartoon Network. And that's the only note I got.
Wow. Your first time seeing a full script. What were your thoughts? Were you thinking, oh, this is gonna be a hit, or were you like, you know, oh, this is gonna be a one-time gig, or what were your thoughts the first time seeing that script? What appealed to you?
So a lot was going on the first time I saw the script because I didn't actually see the script. I'm gonna tell you the truth. They gave me a script, they didn't read it. I was thinking maybe because the same energy, because I'm just going to go into that room and the script is going to be there. I'm going to read over the script. He has limited lines anyway. I kind of went through it, all the things I do for love. Muriel, I'll save you. And then up, screams, gesture. What did I do? That's really easy things. So I said, maybe I just put it down. I come in, and I didn't have any real understanding of how strange a show it was. But so the first time I looked at the script, what's in the recording studio when I was recording it. I figured I got here on the strength of improvisation, so I'm gonna keep, this sense of improv with the character, not with the lines. I had to follow the lines, but once I did read the script, and especially when I saw it, the first episode, I was like, this is a crazy cartoon. The music, the background illustration, and the old
Even the opening
style
sequence is just
Looney Tunes. It's so wonderful. The strangest of it, the scary stuff, and the fact that this character was so endearing and had a lot of the message of facing your fear, being afraid, be afraid, but fight anyway. Do it anyway. What better message you could give to anybody, adult or child, right? You're afraid, but do it anyway. Wonderful idea.
When did you first realize the impact that Courage was having? When did you first encounter fandom, that there were fans of this show?
He is such the best interviewer I've ever had. Always such. The man really knows how to. You're a mensch, Mr. Watts. Anyway, so how fandom happened, kind of like. Remember, I was doing the voice, so I was thinking nobody knows who I am. So once in a while, I would talk, and somebody would come up to me, are you an actor? Because your voice is very familiar to me. And then I would say who I am, what I did, and they would, oh, my God, I love that. That kind of thing. The kind of thing that I encounter regularly here, because here is where people go to see people that they want to see, So, but I had no idea, going back to your previous question, actually, I had no idea just how successful and,
Impactful
yeah. It was. And every time we got renewed for another season, I said, it's doing well. People are having fun. People are watching it, enjoying it. So I got another season of recordings. I did 4 of them, 4 seasons. So it's so wonderful. But really, the true impact was when I started doing these.
Yeah.
The understanding of just how deep the responses are. The fact that I have had people waiting online to see me, to meet me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. The fact that those people, even though they came late, it doesn't matter. They had something better to do than come to me on time. It doesn't matter. They love. Anyway. And they're gone. Gone with the wind. Anyway. So the fact that people are coming to me, not only that want to meet me, but people start to cry because they associate such an enraptured by this character, because how inspired this little dog was. The people who were struggling with depression and anxiety and bullying and, difficulties at home and all of those things, and the courage kept them company.
Yeah.
The fact that I was able to make a difference in people's lives is so, I don't take that lightly. And so that's what blows me away more than anything else,
So, I mean, we know that obviously that the great impact the characters and the fans on their lives, aside from the impact of the success on your career, did the character have an emotional impact on you? Did it change you in any way, or was there?
The character?
What character does that impact? What impact did it have on you? You see all these fans that say, "Oh, I dealt with bullying and I dealt with these things," and the impact. How about you? What impact did he have?
It's interesting because I was looking at it from the inside. Like somebody is sitting down and watching this show completely put together. That they basically wrote into a response. That everything is in place. They just sit down and it washes over them, right? On the inside, what the impact? Great question. I think, in a way, I have to say that because the impact it had on me is that that story I told you about the audition is the lesson of courage, right? And when I think about that, it's the very thing that got me courage is the actual message, portrayed the message that courage represents. But basically going in to a lot of stake, and an actor, I never did the cartoon before, a lead character. I was nervous. I said I'm relaxed. I don't want to say relaxed, completely relaxed. Just, I was still nervous underneath that, but I was just not having to cover up my nervous energy. I didn't need to do that because I wasn't terrified, but always nervous. It's something I'm gonna get. Am I gonna get this? But always something like that. So when they think about, that's what actors do. So for me, it was amazing, and maybe in some way, I can't know, but once I got courage, I never actually went backwards with being an actor, my sense of myself as an actor. Maybe it was the success of my big score that happened, but maybe also somehow my experiencing myself and in that new way of viewing myself, that I am an actor, and that's whether I get roles or whether I not get roles, nothing it was gonna change that, even today,
Yeah.
hope that was
it
a little
does.
convoluted. I know.
Do you feel braver now, having portrayed the character?
Certainly, absolutely, I feel braver in this industry, and maybe braver, period. Unbelievable. Nobody asked him that question. So even when confronting people who make me nervous, maybe a situation is happening, and a bad situation, debating, do I speak up and handle this? Do I slip at the back door and just hope it goes away? And a lot of the time, I choose to go into the belly of the beast. Not nasty, not losing control, not screaming at somebody, but actually, let me talk. I'd like to speak to you, please. So listen to me. I'm talking the real thing to somebody. And maybe this had something to do with it.
I think that in the case of cartoons, great characters can improve our own character, because we learn from them. And I think it's wonderful that an actor learns from their characters as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the show goes off the air, as shows do. There's a break, but there's the video games. There's still stuff happening. And then, years later, you get a call. There's another icon of cartoon, let's call it cartoon terror, Scooby-Doo. What's it like when you get that call that says, we want Courage and Scooby-Doo to team up?
Inexplicably wonderful. And the fact that I always felt the Courage, as to understanding the quality of it, I always felt the Courage was underappreciated by the networks that sponsored it, not Cartoon Network per se, because the people in Cartoon Network actually believed in that show, but it more the suits.
Turner Broadcasting and so forth. Yeah.
And I've always felt a lot of people maybe, even to this very day, not understanding the impact that Courage had. But actually, so when I got the call, it was a really testimonial to, understanding that this is something, because it didn't do it. They wouldn't do it if they didn't think money could be made for it, right? So that's the main reason why a broadcast, place with the network would do anything, right? Would it be successful? But I also knew that Scooby already had his brain nonstop. He was a runaway train of success for over like 50 years, right? So I was happy to catch on to Scooby's coattails, and I was blown away happy. They did ask me to do a recording. They said it's not an audition, but we just want to maybe give me about 20 seconds of your voice doing a smattering of Courage thing. We just want to see that you can still do it. And yeah, it worked, Even my stroke couldn't stop me from doing this. All the things I do for love, nothing could stop the Courage train, God damn it. Another curse for the GalaxyCon.
We're here at this Nightmare Convention. You've got the characters pair up with Scooby-Doo. If you could have Courage face off against any horror icon, Frankenstein, Dracula, whatever, any horror film icon, who would you like to see Courage go up against most?
I think it hits me. Nobody's ever answered that question either. I would have to say the Wolfman, because the Wolfman's transformation is something right out of the Courage playbook.
Yes.
You know, in half an hour the moon will rise and I will turn into a wolf, Larry Talbot says, right? So the fact that courage maybe befriend Larry Talbot and somehow it's frightening, but all of the running after it, very immediate, very primal, you know. Frankenstein is too slow moving, and Dracula it's too just weird, you know. For courage, but maybe Dracula would be a smarter
I
decision.
love that I did the Wolfman because it reminds me very much of the Abbott and Costello horror films where they worked with those great icons. And
I just quoted
yes,
Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And half an hour the moon will rise and I will turn into a wolf. He said, you and 500 other guys.
Did you have a favorite horror film
Anybody
growing
get
up?
that joke?
No.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Was that your favorite?
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Even though in the comedy, it was kind of, you know, a little bit jittery, a little bit scary in a way.
Who were your role models growing up? Who were the actors that you greatly admired?
I greatly admired, when I say growing up, I mean, when I get older, Richard Dreyfuss is the big person for me. Dustin Hoffman, you know.
You have a type of, you know, these
Right.
are people who are getting the roles that you should have gotten.
Exactly.
I can see that, the Richard Dreyfuss type.
Richard Dreyfuss, Dustin Hoffman blazed the path for someone like me to get work as a lead character in something. That's
Sure.
why I was, you know, admiring them. But I love that. I love Marlon Brando also. And I love Laurence Olivier. I love Sir Laurence Olivier. I'm a fan of Shakespeare and all of that.
So let me ask you, so those are some of the ones you admire. Is there any role you would love to play? You could take anybody's part. You could take anybody, Dreyfuss, whoever. You could take any of their parts and like, I'm going to be, imagine me in Jaws or whatever the film is. Is there any role you would have loved to just take on?
The Goodbye Girl. The Goodbye Girl. Did anybody ever see that?
Yes.
Richard Dreyfuss, written by Neil Simon with Marsha Mason, playing an out-of-work actor. Long story. I love the Goodbye Girl character.
It's just
Elliot Garfield
no.
is his character's
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Great film, great play as well. So you mentioned you're now producing and writing. So what else is next? What are you going to continue? Any new projects on the horizon beyond these?
Dude, two things are going on. Number one, I'm collaborating with somebody. All right, so I did a Comic-Con, and somebody, a bartender, came over to our table. Anybody here interested in the box of 100 clowns? I know, that's what I said. A box of 100 clowns. So the people I was with said, no thanks. Nah, I don't think so. And I said, I may be interested in a box of 100 clowns because it sounded really weird, and weird is my middle name. So anyway, so he actually, I thought about it because I'm thinking I have to fly home with a box of, I got to check the bag. And I said, I was going to tell the guy, do me a favor, I'm not interested. But he had already left the bar and came back with a box of 25 clowns. He's scaled it down. but strange-looking clowns, all different outfits and sizes, and spooky faces. So I decided I'm going to do a horror film. Basically, I said, why do you have a box of 100 clowns? He said, I was going to do a horror film with my lover, but my lover and I broke up, said I don't want to be reminded of this. So I'm just giving them away. And I said, I'm going to do a horror film on behalf of this guy. And basically addressing the actual original concept of being in a bar, somebody coming over, everybody want a box of 100 clowns, and taking off from there. And it's a really creepy horror film.
That is the best horror film title I have ever heard. Box of 100 Clowns.
Like the House of the 1,000 Corpses.
Yeah, but Box of 100 Clowns
Similar
just
concept.
sounds terrifying.
So it's definitely telling about that in a horror convention is a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And so that's my next thing. And I'm also making a documentary. It's a long story, so we don't have the time for me to tell the whole thing. But basically, my son, who has autism, severely considered nonverbal, not you, you pretty verbal, we just, he's 23 years old, and we just found out this year that he had the ability to completely communicate utilizing a letter board that he can point letters into one by one and spell not only words, not only sentences, complete paragraphs, completely communicating over this year. So that's a crazy, wonderful discovery for somebody who's 23 years old, and I'm 70, my wife is 54, and we're living with autism for the last 20 years thinking that we love him, but he's very limited cognitively, but he's not. He's neurologically impaired, but not cognitively impaired.
Wow.
So we're making a documentary about that journey.
Wow.
That's what's happening.
That's amazing. Yes.
Cool thing.
You're continuing to do important work. You know, that's just a wonderful story. We have about 4 minutes left. I want to just give a chance for maybe 2 questions from the audience. Does anybody have any questions you'd like to ask Marty? Okay, if you want to come, there's a microphone right up here, please. Thank you.
Oh, without a doubt, my co-star, Thea White, Muriel, what a wonderful actress, what a charming, delightful human being, and she is sorely missed. She became a dear friend of mine, and I loved her so much. She was such a delight to work with.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. One more question? Anybody else have a question? Yes, come on up.
I know I'm not the first one to ask, and I probably might not be the last, but who's your favorite Courage the Cowardly Dog villain?
Oh, you know, I have a few, but if you ask me, I have to say Freaky Fred.
Naughty.
Naughty, because he's really quite a strange, and I like the fact that the music is like haunting background, almost like calliope music, and also he was almost poetical, literary feeling for the narration of it. Something like the Grinch Who Stole Christmas kind of narration that Boris Karloff did.
Nice. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. I could take one more if there's one more. Yes, sir.
Hi.
I just was wondering,
My favorite episode? I have numerous ones. I like King Ramsay's Curse. Everybody loves that one. It's Freaky Fred. I love The Hunchback of Nowhere. but actually the one that also the demon in the mattress, a little exorcist send-off. But the one that most resonates with me is the first episode I ever recorded of Courage, The Shadow of Courage. And because of the first episode, it's always near and dear to my heart, you know.
Thank you. Marty, it is always a pleasure spending time with you, and sincerely, you make life's troubles and turmoils a little bit easier to face with courage.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.